Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're excited that you're here with us live on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide. And we have something very special for you today. We are so excited to have with us Ms. Crystal Morgan. And she is Coach Crystal to me because this is how we know her. You're here with us live on and because this is how we know her, we are just thrilled, for her to bring her expertise to the table today and just create for us the opportunities that we need to have to learn more about doing business better. And with that said, I want to bring Crystal up. So give me just a second to um, bring her to the mic okay, because we want her to have a full amount of time to share with us today. And I do um, look forward to, being able to make sure that we have all of the time necessary. So I'm going to spotlight you, Crystal, and bring you here. And I'll let you do your own introduction and tell us a little bit more about you.
Hi, everyone. I am Crystal Morgan. As Ms. Patience said, I am a coach and I do consulting. I love helping people and businesses and leadership, mindset, organization, and execution. Especially when it comes from seeing someone succeed and move forward is what I love to do. I also teach entrepreneurship and business, but I teach especially to the youth, high school students, so giving them an opportunity to learn how to run a business, how to execute and get their mind moving and going so they can actually exceed on what they think they can and can't do. We try to abolish the can't do aspect of it, but just to keep them moving and moving forward. So that is about me. And in light of the month of May, we're already in May, already in the beginning of the 5 months already into the year. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's also Small Business Month. So what I wanted to do to speak to you today is incorporate some of the two of it. And one thing that I wanted to incorporate you is a lot of is on the mindset aspect of things and what we're doing. And basically to look at the psychological impact of a scarcity mindset on wellness. We speak about a lot of times when we think about scarcity, we also look at a lot of times of the physical part of it. I want to expand the traditional view of scarcity beyond the physical resources. So to include a lot of the non-tangible resources, such as time, attention, respect, and emotional energy, those things that we really don't speak about or think about when we talk about scarcity, how we can use our mindset and how it can leave us to believe in some things that are not true because our mind is clouded. But I want to help individuals believe that these are essential elements and they're not limited. I want you to foster more of a collaborative environment and how you can replenish some of it, because scarcity isn't just, whoops, sorry about that. Scarcity isn't just about what we can touch. As I said, it's about what we can count at times, but your energy in which you can count. It's about what we feel and how we interact. When we view a lot of these intangible assets as finite, it impacts our mental health a lot. And it's our capacity to thrive in both the personal and professional settings. And that's what I will look at too. I like looking at everything in a holistic manner. So you have the person and you have the business, but then you also have the spiritual aspect too. So you as a whole person is what I want to actually discuss today and help you overcome and give you some different strategies on how to move forward in some of those. When it comes to looking, as I define that scarcity mindset, what is it that you think of? What is the definition to you? What do you believe? And the scarcity is very narrow. It's like tunnel vision at times, like a train going through a tunnel. You're just focused on moving through that tunnel the fastest you can, the best way you can. But a lot of it goes to you're believing that there's never enough, whether it's money, resources, or it's time. But if you have that abundant mindset, it's going to be the contrast of that. So it's like looking at it through a broadening telescope. When you look through a telescope, you see things more clearly, but you also see the other things around it and more definitive and detailed aspect of it. When businesses, the impact on businesses that it can be about you is decision making. The businesses, they thrive on a lot of innovation. So you have your creativity that goes on. And then the scarcity mindset, it binds in it like a change of caution that you will have sometimes. So it comes with some of those limitations that come with it. So you have the conflict between the need to innovate in the business, and then you have your restrictive nature of their scarcity mindset. The two doesn't bond well together at all when you're thinking. So if we look at the business and the innovation, how it can thrive on that. So for it to grow, for it to stay competitive, it has to innovate. So that involves more of developing new products, developing new services, staying competitive, especially processes. You're doing an audit of what can do. You're thinking of different ways that can add value to the company, but also attract more clients, more customers, things to help you grow. The innovation aspect of becomes so essential for adapting to the changes because the market changes, as we know. I mean, look at real estate. One of the things that I also thrive in and work in, being a serial entrepreneur. So you have to adapt to the market changes. And then always looking at customer needs. What is your customer needing? Did it shift now? And what more are you doing to outperform your competitors? How are you staying individualized? That is just you. What makes them want to come to you? And that comes with being innovative and changing some of the things in your business and what you're doing. And a lot of time we think about when the scarcity mindset comes in, we think about, oh, we don't have, where are our customers going? Oh, we have to have more product. Or we're looking at cost of a lot of things. So when it comes into the scarcity mindset and binding in the change of caution, it refers to the belief that the resources are so limited. It leads you to that focus on minimizing risk and preserving existing resources rather than exploring new opportunities when they're right there at the door for you to take and absorb. You stay stagnant. So that mindset, it causes the individuals and some of the organizations to be overly cautious, which it actually that fear of the potential loss is associated with taking risk, but those are necessary for the innovation and creativity that you can have. When we look in some growth limitations that comes with those chains of caution. And what I mean by that, it restricts and confines the business ability to engage in a lot of more creative activities. So like the chains, when you think of a chain, what do you think of? Chains are heavy. They're bonded into they're attached at your wrist to some stationary object. A lot of chains, they're heavy, they're bulky, they weigh you down. That is how your mindset becomes. It becomes a holdback action and it discourages the pursuit of new ideas. So as that focus shifts to a potential gains, to avoiding any potential losses, you actually open up and you grow more. And that comes a lot with the innovation and the growth combined together. You take those two things, the small business can operate in more resourceful manners. Those constraints will be broken by those chains that you actually put on yourself, because if they're not being managed in an abundance perspective, as that abundance perspective gains more momentum, more chains you will break. You will bond more with the positive manner and take more risk. I'm not saying go crazy with the risk that you have, but small risks that you maybe have dreaded because you letting fear overcome you. And the decision making is very pertinent when it comes in businesses, because a slow decision can cost you customers, or a contract, what it can cost you. So decision making is where a lot of time you avoid that risk. But when you're avoiding that risk, as I said, what is it impacting? If you sit and look at it, it's your business growth. It's even the sustainability. So a lot of times we want to always grow and move forward, but we have to, in our mental aspect and our health, where are we at in that scarcity mindset? Are we at that scarcity mindset? Are we at an abundance mindset? So even with some data that I looked at, it's like 30% of small businesses, they cite to lack the resources as a primary challenge in their first year. And that resource can be product, it can be mentorship, it can be ability to run it seamlessly, it could be organization, it could be process, don't know where the customers are, not doing the correct audits on the company. So it's a plethora of things, but if you can narrow it down and move forward in it and open your mind to that abundance mindset that we're speaking about, you will move and your business will gain much momentum. Now, the things that comes from when I think about, especially like I said, being the mental health one, and that's very important to me, especially having brain surgery and having to rewire everything. It takes a lot out of you, and many of you may have some things that are going on with yourself, with your health, your well-being, family, and two things that impact it more that we hear about a lot, and they're silent a lot of times that we don't even realize we had. I mean, at one point in time, I was working multiple jobs, and my physician, she says, you work with high anxiety, which I'm like, I don't have anxiety. I just do stuff that needs to get done. Well, when stress and anxiety comes in, how it impacts us, we do neglect, as I have, that self-care aspect of it, because you're only focused on the the essentials, and then what you have on more of the things that you absolutely need and have. So your survival, how I'm going to survive, when a lot of times it should be is how we're going to thrive and accept things in the present. So with that stress and anxiety, the American Psychological Association on a 2023 report, it says stress in America, it highlighted that many Americans continue to experience high levels of stress, influenced by the economic pressures, among which can be closely linked to a scarcity mindset. And a lot of people don't think about that. And with the mental health disparities that we have, it was notes that the significant number of the Americans, and even just people in general, society, we're all human beings. Here, we're struggling with mental health issues. It could be stress, it can be depression, it could be a variety of other things. But that disparity, when having the scarcity mindset, it makes it worse a lot of times. And it limits in the ability sometimes of help that there can be, for example. So the fear of not having enough time, the fear of not having an opportunity, it can lead to that chronic stress and anxiety. And since we're not seeing the impact that it can have on us, a lot of times we miss it. For instance, maybe some of the health that we're having, it increases your fatigue. You're tired all the time. Well, you don't look at that. A lot of times you miss you being tired. It could be from running around. But what's missing? You're not getting enough sleep. You don't even realize that you're just going through the daily routine. You get up at 9, you go to bed maybe 9 at night or 10 o'clock at night. And you just like, okay, if I get up, I'm just going to go to bed and start the whole routine tomorrow. Well, that decreased well-being, it leads out to burnout, especially when you're worried about persistent financial worries. So not having continuously, when you go to bed, a lot of times we don't sit and think about what we have. We sit and think about what we don't have a lot of times. And I encourage you to change that when you go to bed, or even throughout the day. Having the opportunity and enough time for things and constantly worrying about that, it leads to the chronic stress and chronic anxiety. And chronic is just ongoing. It's not just in the moment or just temporary. It's every day. So that becomes a part of what your body is used to, your mind is used to. So it begins to impact that overall mental health you have. And it doesn't just stop with you. It stops with your relationships, with your family, with your coworkers, your friends. It doesn't stop and it doesn't discriminate, because how it's overflowing out of you. So scarcity in your emotional resources, it will lead to those strained relationships that you have, both again in your personal and your professional settings. So people, they're finding that they experience it's up to a 50% more stress-related illnesses compared to those who have that abundance mindset. So again, the impact of having that scarcity mindset, it's more than 50% of some of your stress-related illnesses. That could be with you getting a cold, you getting sick, you're not well. We overlook that a lot of times. We're always on the go. We're moving so fast. We're not replenishing ourselves with, water, with just energy, with sleep. Sleep is very, like I said, it's very overlooked. So that increased anxiety, when you start to believe you're not enough and you don't have enough resources to go around, like I said, it could be time, money, even opportunities, you continue to manifest more physical and psychological beings within yourself. Like I said, you have the sleep disturbance. You have the biggest one is the irritability. You can't figure out why you're irritable or why you're stressed sometimes. Or you just have a big thing when it comes to the mental health aspect and the small businesses when you have difficulty concentrating. You cannot seem to focus or wonder, like, why can I focus? Sometimes we sit at the computer for hours and not get up and take a break. So you can sit and set reminders to get up and take a break, to walk around, to move. So when we're sitting in a sedimentary position all the time, we're not exercising. Our bodies just continue to not do anything. So that helps with a decrease too. You think sometimes I'm just sitting here on the computer, I have to get it done, get it done, get it done. But what you also need to do is take a mental health break. Take a breather, walk outside, do something that gives you more energy and just a breath of that fresh air. One other thing too is in businesses, when we're thinking about competitors and we're thinking about going to our jobs a lot of times, one thing too that is a continuous stress that people see in a professional, let's say professional working, we're all professional in one way or another. I mean, even some of you may not have a so-called, career or a job right now. Even being a parent to me is work. It is a job that's not paid for. You are constantly a parent or even a mentor, not even thinking about it. But when you're in a competitive environment, you constantly worry about job security or even promotions. So your anxiety level is heightened again, which is spiral in a constant state of alertness and fear. When you worry about your means, you need this job to survive. When you don't have a backup job, or this is the only income that you may have, or maybe the income the household has. So it's going to further impact the stress, and it's going to trigger maybe some anxiety disorders, or it's going to irritate more things that come on with mental health conditions that you can have. And the result of that is reducing your ability to function effectively at work and in your personal life. So the things of the self-care neglect, we don't look at that a lot of times. We think of, like I said, the physical aspect is so much easier sometimes to see besides our internal plethora that we have inside of us. So the overall view too, another item is to decrease in the whole mental well-being. So constant pressure to make more out of less that we have. We only have this much money for the month. We only have this amount of groceries for the month. When you say we only have, that puts you into that scarcity mindset more. It leads to feelings, like I said, of that burnout and that mental exhaustion, especially someone who overthinks quite a bit, or you're always analyzing. Even from, let's look at the students in different family groups. A student from a low income family, they might worry about the cost of education materials, future college fees. And this isn't only with low income. These are worries that people have limited income. This is person that might be on a strict budget. So when is a material coming in? It's always that worry, that constant worry also will actually add to that. So it's going to lead to feeling inadequate, and then even a lower self-esteem. So I encourage you to look for different ways and being aware of more of this that's going on, because you don't want to erode your mental resilience. We can bounce back, but the more and more we don't take care of identifying and dealing with anxiety and actually putting more into self-care, we actually impact our mental resilience by breaking it down more and more, which is going to take more and more to bounce back. So pursue some of the opportunities and engage socially. Find out what gives you that energy back. What gives you that energy? What fuels you? What actually makes you feel worth a lot of times? Because these are very crucial for your personal growth and for your happiness overall. So what it's saying, when you count every resource, but you forget to count on yourself, it happens when you lose the most. I don't want it to get to a point where you've lost everything or feel you have everything lost because we didn't just look at and take a backslide and inventory where we're at mentally, especially when we're viewing and thinking of that scarcity mindset. In that scarcity mindset, of course, we have perceived limitations in career advancement, especially looking at small business, people with small businesses. You depend on the community. You depend on a lot more. Some depend on grants. Some depend on other ways of that revenue coming in. So in career advancement, you might have perceptions of that, the glass ceiling. Some aspect of the psychological impact is, you know, you don't have any motivation. You're detaching from it. It's like, oh, I have to go to a job. Or when you feel that you don't feel like going to your job, think about that. Why are you feeling that way? What is coming to you? So looking at your job, is there anything else that you can do in your job? Is there anything else that motivates you? Another aspect of your job, a different position that actually might make you move. So when you have some of those resource availabilities, take advantage of them. Don't limit your access to some of those essential services that are there. Go inquire, look at the employee handbook that you have. What is a company doing in social engagement? Find some of those that will actually increase your health, that will increase their trusting and things. Because when you have the scarcity aspect of it with limited resources availability, you begin to mistrust more. And then you have increased health anxiety also. So look at some of those when it comes. An example of the perceived limitations in their career advancement. Think about an employee who believes that there is a glass ceiling in their profession. You know, for example, you know, something that may prevent women, you know, or minorities obtaining leadership roles. You may see a certain, let's say men are in a lot of those roles, especially in a lot of CEOs or leadership roles that you may see. So that perception, whether it's based on real observations or societal narratives, it leads to a significant decrease in your motivation and engagement with your work because of what you're thinking at the moment. You experience actually sometimes some feelings of futility, you know, and disengagement with your career, believing that no amount of effort will improve the situation. And that is a big problem there when you're believing that your effort will not improve it. Every day that you are here, every day that you speak to another person, you can improve the life of somebody else and yourself, just like giving and doing a lot of things. You can foster deep-seated insecurity about your abilities and the future in an industry. For instance, my background is in nursing. Following and having the brain surgery, and I call them temporary limitations. That's what I have. So me feeling I'm not able to do what I used to be able to do, especially working in a hospital, you have to have your reflexes. You have to be very attuned to your surroundings. Well, that decreased, especially me learning and going through the recovery aspect of it. So I couldn't sit and always look at what I don't have. I had to continue to look at the abundance. I still have life in me. I am still able to give back. I'm still able to have a career in a sense of I just had to modify. I just had to pivot what I had. So I worked on fostering more of that abundant mindset, not looking at my temporary limitations. And a lot of times when we're looking at mental health, they're only temporary. We make them longer. We make them long as we perceive that they are. We deep root it a lot more too is why are we looking at it in a sense of the more we say this is going to take forever, the more we say this is never going to end, it is going to be that. Whatever we are verbally saying is going to happen because we're manifesting a lot of that. So what happens is when you're saying it out loud, all your mind is like, okay, this is how it's going to be. So we're rooting that. We have to be able to seek different alternatives and change our wording to actually go with what we actually want, not what we don't want. It's so easy. I see this like in society, you hear it a lot. People quickly will say the word can't, don't, and I don't have. We need to replace those with you can. Or if something is not happening at that moment, I'm not able to yet. So you still can say what you're feeling, but not keep it so in a bottle or a fishbowl. You're keeping yourself in those small bowls and those small tanks. So for example, in a community setting, a person in business aspect, a person who perceives, that they don't have access to healthcare, it's limited. only to those that have a higher income or better insurance. The service may be better. So what they're going to do is avoid going to the hospital. They're going to avoid seeking help for medical issues, and they become even more severe. So that avoidance will compound some feelings of discrimination because you don't have the same thing. You don't have the same as someone in a perceived view of having more income or having better insurance. Now, I'm not going to say there's not any benefits at times, maybe paying more, you get more sometimes, but look at what you do have, what you're able to do in the moment. It's not so scarce as we always perceive it because our feelings come in. And that's when we have to, like I said, take that inventory of what can we take out of why are we feeling like this? Why are we developing a general mistrust of systems? Why are we isolating ourselves more, or we're exasperating those feelings of inadequacy and insecurity because of that scarcity mindset that we're having? The non-tangible aspect of it is, like I said, we're so quick to look at physical resources. A lot of time we need to look at a lot of the non-tangibles that we can have, because that is often overlooked, not seen, or even taken care of. As a person that is always moving, we tend to see it in other people. We recognize it faster, but we don't always recognize it within ourselves first. So some strategies to move and to overcome that scarcity mindset. Some are the mindfulness practices that we have. You know, that, for instance, if you look at individually, there might be some gratitude journals. Does people like to write right now? Do you like to listen to audible books? Do you like to listen to seascape sounds, nature sounds that you have? So practicing those can help you diminish that scarcity mindset. And it's not going to happen overnight if you've had this practice for a long time. So just take some of those bits and pieces that you have, accept those. And an organizational strategy aspect is inclusive work environments. You know, have some transparent communication that will actually not inhabit so much mistrust. It's going to foster more trust. And the community engagement is building some support systems. And that's within yourself. When you start to isolate yourself and you think you don't have, you need to actually engage yourself in that work. And with me, a lot of times, again, that is something that I work on more, is networking with people and getting out there more and accepting, what door can I open today? Yeah, it might be something I don't want to do. Yeah, I may have fear also, but I'm going to go out there and do it. I'm going to engage so I can replenish some of what I keep giving out. We give a lot, like I said, not just that we say time, those non-tangibles, time, energy. We waste those so frequently and so fast, not even realizing it, that we need to replenish. We need to sleep a lot of times. And we need to implement some change in business and personal life to have more balance. Even though there's not a work and personal life balance, there is a balance when it comes to replenishing your energy and your mind motivation. So in business, a lot of times I want you to encourage some long-term planning and investing in some of your employees' well-being. That is one thing I have noticed in some research, that businesses are starting to contribute more to their employee well-being. They have those wellness days. They'll give them off a paid wellness day. What they'll do is, and they acknowledge more, giving some more self-development, what they have, more strategic ways to worry about emotional health besides just physical health, which they both go hand in hand. I'm not saying they don't, but encouraging some of that. For individuals, some daily routines to cultivate that abundance mindset. What can you do that can give you more? Time is the one thing that we can never get back, as they say, but what can we do with the time? But I want to encourage not to schedule your time where every minute of your day is absorbed with something physical. Take some time out, schedule in your day. Some people forget to schedule lunch. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is not even in your schedule. A lot of times we eat through it very quickly. Take time to put in there 5 minutes of exercise, or just 5 minutes of you just spending time with just yourself. A nice quiet place, or like I said, I love nature sounds. So listen just to nature, something that can recalibrate you, that can rebalance you, that resets you. Those daily routines can actually lead to more of the abundance mindset and for you. And being around people, if you just want, one thing that lacks too that I see, go find something and just laugh. We don't laugh enough anymore. As we say, laughter is the best medicine. It does rechange and recharge you just laughing, especially when you're upset. And then usually you look at a baby. Babies, even the babies laugh and just make you laugh, which is great. They're young and innocent, but they bring you so much joy a lot of times with just their laughter. So I encourage, when you're doing those daily routines, put 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes of straight just time for you, when we're saying that self-care that is neglected a lot of times. That will replenish your energy. And journaling for the writers, the daily gratitude journaling, you can start at the beginning or the end of your day writing it down. What are you grateful for? What are some things that can be so minimal that you take for granted? For me is One thing for me was just one thing I admit that I was apprehensive of with doing the brain surgery is like, I don't want to, am I going to remember everybody? What am I not going to remember? So me learning to rewire, like I said, my brain, but learning more cognitive, going through therapy, I had to be grateful that I at least still had a brain. I could at least still think. I still could remember. I didn't remember everything, but I was grateful that I remember some things. But I had pictures. So I was pulling from different resources to generate memories, to piece memories together. But also, what did that bring me? That bring me happiness. That was a time maybe I don't recall at the moment, but I can see a time that I did enjoy myself. So those are some just examples, some resources to look at. In business, look at some periodic reviews of your resource allocation to avoid over conservation and promote generosity. Some strategic use in those. The time for, and regular time to do that, because that comes with both individuals and your teams. So your team and you both need that personal growth and development, but look at is, like I said, the non-tangibles. What can you promote in generosity? Maybe just a team building event, a fun team building event can actually promote some more energy, especially if you see your team is maybe bogged down, or maybe you're working on a project that's taking a lot of energy, that's taking a lot of time. You see people getting irritable. Just take a pause, a quick pause, or reset everything, and you'll get actually more productivity also. Practical steps for some individuals with some resource auditing is your content. I offer some practical steps with shifting the abundance forward, which it includes like in your work environments, have some open, encouraging communication about mental health. That's not talked about a lot. It's been taboo a lot of time. If you're going to have therapy, if you're going to speak to a counselor, nothing is wrong with that. Encourage that if that's what that person needs. If it, something that can be taken care of in the moment versus silent suffering, please encourage that so they're not suffering in silence, but understand they can and move forward by speaking about it. It's okay. You can cultivate an abundance mindset by starting simple. Like we said, practice that gratitude. Encourage those open dialogues about needs and challenges that's in the workplace. Actively seek and recognize maybe just a fun award, something that you see someone's working on and changing. Give some acknowledgement to that. Actively and seek out to recognize and utilize that. Sometimes skills, what we take for granted that someone is so great at, it can be exhausting. Tell them, great job. Thank you for helping out. A simple thank you goes a long way when someone just wants to thank you with just getting recognized for some of the credit and what they're doing. And they just like that pat on the back that they're doing a good job. When it comes again to the mindful practices that that you have, recognize something that you have abundant in your everyday life right now. It could be doing some meditation. That can help you. What can you do to practice? some of that. Think of one thing I encourage you to do, something you like doing. And when the business, when it comes to your resource auditing, conduct better audits to understand where your resources are going. Identify the errors that are creating a perceived abundance and then capitalize on it. How is that bringing you more and more in? And being in the community, team building, promote a supportive network. It's a buffer that can go against the effects of a scarcity mindset. And one big thing that we talk about in life is breaking the cycle. One being Small Business Month. Breaking the cycle in business is the long-term planning, not to stress over it, but they help you set the momentum, how fast you would like to move. So those long-term goals over your short-term gains to break the cycle in the scarcity for that. Investing in the people, as we said, encouraging employees' development, their well-being, strategy for a sustainable business growth. When your employees, when your clients, when your team members, I like to say, because it all takes a team to work together, when you have all of that together and they're feeling better about things, it will actually motivate to more. So when you invest in people, they will invest in your business, which will create more abundance. They feel special. They feel like they are appreciated in it. So the importance over that is a point of, how would you like to be invested as a person? What do you like? A lot of times, take a simple poll. What do you like done for you? How do you feel that you are worth things when you're moving forward? What moves you forward in everyday life? How do you like coming to work? Do you like coming to work? Some people don't want to hear that, but still taking that audit. Your resources, your people, and it's their mentality that they have. I mean, what they have between their two ears is their brain and their mind. They can actually bring more light and abundance into your company by their ideas. Don't shutter that out also when it comes to that part. Well, the things I want also to just conclude on that part of some of your scarcity mindset. Just, there is a such thing in it. Just don't stay there is what I'm just going to ask you not to do. Recognize and address some of those non-tangibles, scarcity that we spoke about. Improve your mental health and your business success. It would definitely help. So one thing I want you to do, and I encourage, and a takeaway for you, is identify areas where you feel scarcity is and set some goals to have an abundance mindset that will further your business success. So I hope that was enlightening and you guys enjoyed that, can take away of it. Just focus more on the abundance versus scarcity. But remember, there's non-tangible, and we want to have it where we have an abundance, non-tangible mindset.
Well, Crystal, that has been, this has been amazing. I am so excited that you have shared with us. And, I just want to say that when I'm looking at things from the standpoint of, seeing in my life where I have allowed scarcity to creep in, because it does happen. Those of us who don't live there and we don't normally have a scarcity mindset, we're not exempt, okay? Because things happen from time to time. Sometimes there are seasonalities in business that cause us to see things, differently. And, because it's happening so quickly, we look up and, man, before we know anything, the scarcity mindset will kind of creep in, so what do you do to kind of ward off those thoughts, and I know you gave us a lot of tools, but, for people who, we don't normally live there, but for whatever reason, something happens and quickly, before we know it, we have these feelings of anxiety or, the feelings of, what can we do, or what should we do? Or, do I have to make something happen?
Right.
Around.
And it helps because we don't always know we're there. We don't even know sometimes that we even have it until something happens or someone brings awareness and can tell us this is happening right now. And heed that warning. Let it accept and embrace someone outside looking in when we're too close to the fire to see that is actually happening.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. taking stock and then taking a look at, okay, this is happening now. So what do I need to do? Quickly, shifting your thought process into, the abundance mindset instead, and understanding that I don't have to know everything today. Okay.
Right.
I don't have
Definitely.
to solve everything today.
And it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to feel happy and bubbly, but long as it's temporary, it's not permanent. We don't stay there. We will always have more abundant if we think it and manifest it.
Well, everyone, let's celebrate Coach Crystal Morgan, for bringing this to us. We are so excited to have received it. And thank you so much for adding value to our lives as business owners and people who are executives and others who are going to watch this later. We are just ecstatic about it. So we just want to give you a virtual hand
Well, thank you.
and celebrate you in your business. And with the concepts, that you brought, we believe that it's going to help us and our clients to do business better. And so with that said, we will see you all again next time.